What's up, y'all? We are about to do the Lords of Hellas deep dive. I just wanted to, I want to take a little time and talk about, like, a game has not captured me like this in quite a while. And I actually forgot to put these the monsters out on the board where they were. So I'm going to try to remember. I think they were here, 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 and here. I feel like this was right. Okay. Yeah, so I've got the board set up here, and I've got a player here for Hercules set up, and I'm just going to dive right into it. I'm going to dive into some of the things that I think that make it up and make it interesting and make it different. And I think probably what people are comparing it to most closely is Kemet. Also, side note, if you hear snoring in the background, that is my bully over here passed out in the floor, and he snores like a human. So at least he's cute. Got a face only a mother could love. So cool. Let's start with talking about the 4 win conditions. That's right. The game has 4 different win conditions. So you'll see here that there are lands. Lands are the colors that you have. Like, so we got green, gray, blue, yellow, red. If you control 2 of those complete lands, you win. Straight up, winner, winner, chicken dinner. The second win condition is, you'll see here that we will be building temples in some of these areas when you control them. So they'll come in on these little, if you have the terrain pack, that's what they'll look like. Let me get you a nice low, awesome. Oh, by the way, this is the sun drop edition. So if you're noticing that these look extra cool, that's why. So if you can control 5 regions, not the lands, but the regions that have temples, then you win. I haven't seen anybody win that way yet. I think that one would be really, really hard. I haven't seen that yet. The third way, number 3, is to kill 3 monsters. I'll dive into that in a bit on how you kill monsters, but yeah, killing 3 monsters. I've seen that win 2 times out of my 3. No, 1 time out of 3 plays. And then fourth is to build these monuments. So you guys have probably seen people talk about these monuments. If a monument gets fully built, here's this is what is it, Hermes? Yeah, Hermes Boots of Speed. If it's fully built, then this activates the monument activation. You flip this over, and then whoever controls this region with the monument at the end of 3 rounds is the winner. So it's almost like a time limit on the game, because again, I've never seen anybody win this way either, because mostly that would be a really long process to duke it out over this for 3-4 rounds and then still be in control. So I think that puts pretty much a backstop on the game, because one of the weird things about the game is it doesn't have a steady round structure. Anybody can build a piece of this monument at any time, because it's just one of your special actions. So let's dive into the player board for a second, and I'll explain what this looks like. So on your turn, what you're going to be able to do is this thing. So you can do any amount of these regular actions, or you can do 1 each, but in any order. So you can move your hoplite soldiers. Those are your hoplites. You can move your hero. This is your hero. Your hero doesn't have anything to do really with, unless you have a special ability, but typically a hero is going to kill monsters or do quests. And then you can pray. So if you have attained a priest and it is on your board, then you can pray. How you pray is you send these priests to these monuments, and they fall out of the monument. And they are praying to that god for that attribute that they're tied to. Zeus, Athena, and Hermes. And so you can move, you'll get a bump by moving those up, depending on what level the monument is at. So if the monument is at level 2, then you get to bump up your attribute by 1 in speed, and then you also get to move your army by 1 region. So you're going to be timing those things out best you can. You can also tap artifacts and use their abilities. So sometimes you're going to get random artifacts, and they'll give you a special power that you can tap once per round. So those are your regular actions. Then as far as special actions go, this is where like the meat of the game and the strategies come in at, because you can only do these once per round, unless again you have some game breaking situation. But here you've got things like you can prepare, you can hunt a monster, you can start a fight with a monster, you can usurp an area if you have a glory token, you can build a temple in an area that you control, you can recruit to the cities or Sparta if you control those, or you can march your army into an area and usually sometimes do battle. Then also you can choose to build a monument. So here's a really interesting part of the game. And it takes a little bit to wrap your head around it, right? So I'm gonna pull Hermes off here. Bye, Hermes. So at any time for your special action, you can build any piece of the monument that you want, and that ends the round. And then there's a cascade of things that happen. So it takes a little bit to wrap your head around, like, I don't have to have certain resources, I don't have to have, you can literally just choose. 4 people in a row could go, I choose to build a monument, I choose to build a monument, I choose to build a monument. Like you can do it, a monument, whatever that is. I can't even speak the words. And so you start this chain reaction. So like right here, all players remove priests from all monuments. So they all get cleared, that's how it frees up those spaces for future use. You add the next level of the chosen monument. So you'd come over, and you grab old Zeusy Pants, and you throw, if that's who you're deciding you want to build, you slap him on there, right? Like, so now he's level 2. So now when the priests go there, you've got a level 2 situation. And then from there, you're going to gain a priest for every temple you control. So sometimes you do it because you just attained a land that had a temple, and you control it, and so you're going to go ahead and grab that. And then from there, because you've got to seed your board with more priests. That's a very crucial part of the game, so that you can increase your attributes, right? Which I just cleared mine off. And old Hercules, Kevin Sorbo here, the mechanical Kevin Sorbo, he starts with 2 strength, of course. And then so all players get to remove their used action tokens, because each time in a round that we do these things, we cover these up to show that we can only do them once. And so once the round ends, you get to clear these and wipe out your board because you're clumsy. And now they're available to use again. Then we roll the monster die. So this is the monster die. And the monsters that are on the board, like we've got currently, when I seeded this one got a gross setup. It was the Hydra, the Minotaur, Cyclops, and the Sphinx. And so the player who activates is going to roll this and is going to choose which monster they're going for. And, it does its Regen Attack. So like the Sphinx here, its Regen Attack is kill 1 hoplite in the region that it's in. And then as passives, players cannot recruit hoplites in any way in a region with the Sphinx in it. So she's like locking that spot down. And you would go around doing that, like either you'll roll this and you'll choose, sometimes they move, sometimes you have the option of their attack or whatever. Sometimes they do nothing. So that's neat, right? So then we draw an event card. And so the event card's cool in this deck of events, you flip it over and you go, whoa! In this case, it's a new monster. So a new monster comes out, we load it into that area, and now that's another monster that we have to fight, or can fight. It could be an event card from a monster that's already in play, and it would just evolve, making it harder to kill. Or it could also be a new quest. So if there's a space open, which currently there is not because we have not done the quests, as these get completed, they free up, and if an event comes out, then this would come out, and we would get to seed the board with that quest. Quests work it's also a very interesting setup, because all your hero does on their turn, heroes mainly affect quests or monsters. They do one or the other. And so you're moving your hero around, and there are other things that they can do, and they do have some special abilities. But these areas have these quests. And so if you have the right setup to start the quest, like this one says, if you've got a priest, then you can start this one. But if you have a priest and you control 2 temples, then you can start in the 2nd slot. Or if you have 2 priests and 2 temples, you can start in the 3rd slot. And what I mean by slot here is, let me grab Kevin here, Kevin Sorbo. So if I had 1 priest, I would start here. If I had that 2nd setup locked down, I could start here. And let's just say I started here, right? So we play around and someone builds the monument. This slides down in between turns. So it doesn't matter if I have the stuff for the 3rd slot, it's where you start the quest. So what this does is it allows people, like, if I just want to get in on the low entry, but old Helen comes in and she's got a better setup, she can race over there, jump in on that, and beat me to completing the quest. I haven't seen anybody do that yet in our games, but it can happen. So you can come in technically right here and complete a quest straight up because you've got the stuff. Boom, and then you get the benefit, and the benefit here is listed at the bottom of it. You also gain the glory token for the region that's in, and the glory tokens, didn't look like I took them out of my bag. The derp, my bad. But they essentially allow you to do the usurp action. And the usurp action is really cool in that your hero can just like bounce into an area that they have. If I had the blue glory token, I could bounce up over here. I could take some enemy soldiers that were in here and be like, y'all get, and then they have to leave. Because I am the hero of this region, because I slayed the monster or did the quest or the whatevers, right? So that's neat, strategic. Because the other thing about, I'm sorry, I'm not even pointing at what I'm showing you I'm doing. They don't have an area next to them that they can freely go to, either the yellow team controls or whatever. If I've surrounded it, then they all die without battle. It's freaking cool. So I have seen that happen. I have had my guys killed that way. Thanks, Josh, you jerk. Okay, so you get a general idea what's going on here. Combat cards have a really cool thing. These blessings, or as we like to say, the blessing. If you know that reference, please put it in the comments. These are game-breaking additions that really give you added powers that really make it asymmetric on how people is going to work. So like this Hermes Temple is, you add one priest to your priest pool when taking this blessing. So a free priest, boom. After using the build temple special action, immediately use an additional special action. Stupid powerful to be able to go back to back. So build a temple and then be able to do something else. Like I've used this card specifically to build a temple in an area that I control, and then immediately build the monument so that no one can come in and swoop in and take my area. So I would get 2 to 3 priests when I clear the temple or build a monument. Pretty neat. Yes, Justin, you got it. It is Christmas vacation. So when you're playing your strategies, each character has an asymmetrical starting setup. So like Hercules here, or AKA Kevin Sorbo, he starts with 2 strength, which is very important for battles and for fighting monsters. And he can use his glory tokens that he obtains to get neutral artifacts. Again, very powerful. Those artifacts can really be game-changing on some of the stuff that you get. So he's kind of set up to go kill monsters and do quests. That's kind of what his special ability is going to let him do. Whereas Perseus, like, you guys can laugh at the redneck guy pronouncing all these Greek mythology situations. So after he uses a prepare action, he can literally go to any region on the board. He can just fly all over the place. And his starting bonus is he gets a glory token in the same color as he starts that region. So he starts with the usurp action like right there. Helen has this crazy thing where she can, enemy players, hoplites can't enter a region where she's at. She's too beautiful. She shocks them. They can't come in. And then you've got Achilles here who... what does he do? You get to add a speed or strength to your army strength in the region he is in. And he starts with 2 speed. So he can move around the board faster, and he's really good at fighting the regions. So each one of the hero boards kind of have a different starting streamline, but you can make them work however you want, but it definitely kind of helps. So my favorite part has been killing monsters. I really like that because I like push your luck. It's just a game mechanic that I enjoy. And so... we do these, I've always tried to kill at least a few monsters, but I played Hercules last time and I tried to dive in straight away and take out the Minotaur. Everybody starts with 1 combat card, and let me tell you how the combat cards work. So the top half here, in red, that's what you use to fight monsters. Blue, and that number in the middle, is the attack power that you're going to have, and blue is what you do if you're doing a hero v hero land skirmish situation, if you're battling over an area. And so if I had this in my hand when I started this fight, like you can see these, I need a sword, I need a torch, an axe, and a spear to kill the Minotaur. So to start the fight, you get whatever combat cards you have in your hand. You have a hand limit of 4, and you draw up your strength. So, Herc here, Kevin Sorbo, he gets 2. I'm going to keep doing that, by the way, so if that bothers you, I'm sorry. So this is what I would have in my hand. So I'd have the card that I already had, and I would have what I just drew up. So right now I've got these 3 cards to do battle with. So obviously I can do the sword and the axe. The bow's useless against the Minotaur. He laughs at that. So I can throw those down. Got an axe. Blam. and I got a sword. So I've done two damage. The bad thing is if you don't finish that monster off, you leave it, this stays, and somebody else can come in and snipe it. Also, just to note that if you do damage on a place that has a symbol like this, you gain a priest. So you can get a reward even if you don't finish it off. So in this case, where I didn't finish the monster off, it gets its turn to attack. So the player to your left will draw 2 monster attack cards, and they will choose, obviously, the worst of the 2 that they think is going to hurt you the most, and then play that on you. And then you have a chance to defend. So this was this one plus number of combat cards held by the hunting player. So this would only be a 2. So that's not very powerful. This is a 3, and if this effect happens, you would receive an injury if you can't defend. So in this case, let's say they played this on this example, and I've got my card left in my hand to defend with. It's only a 1. I cannot defend, so I will suffer an injury, and the hunt will be over. Now, if I could defend, if I could have played a card with 3 to defend, I would get to draw 2 cards, 2 more combat cards from here, and the hunt would continue. And we'd go back and forth to either the monster's dead or I can't defend. So in this case, I can't defend. So now an injury happens, and I have to choose one of my 3 attributes and flip this over. And no matter where it was at on the thing, it is now a 1. So that's kind of how killing monsters work. If you kill the monster, then you get their reward and also the glory token for the area that they're in. The Minotaur is currently in the gray area, and I would have got a gray glory token. And so one of the things, Parker, somebody's at the door for you, buddy. One of the things that is to note, something to note about the gray, don't talk to him at the door, please. I'm live streaming. Sorry, I got kids here. The gray area only has 3 regions. All the other lands have 4. So if someone comes in and takes over Crete control, because it's only a 2, and they go, hey, I just won, and you don't know, and it's your first game, and you're like, what? That's because there's only 3 areas that they have to control there. So, suck it, Josh. Okay, cool. So there's some of those things. So that's fighting monsters. That's using combat cards. Again, the combat cards have dual purpose and those icons. Oh, another cool thing that's really interesting about, let me find one. So, let's say you played this in a battle against someone. Let's say I had 3 little Deuterinos here, and these 3 yellow folk come marching up in, Team Yellow come marching up in my area, right? It's time to fight. So the defender plays a combat card first. And you add this to your, right now it's 3v3, right? So if I added this, it'd be 5-3. And if this takes effect, it takes effect. So if you have more hoplites than your opponent in this battle, add 2. I don't, so that doesn't take effect. However, at the end, any of these cards that have these little death skull symbols means I'm gonna lose, like I'm sacrificing those hoplites in the battle. So it might end up looking like this situation. I play a card, the attacker plays a card, we're still tied. Tie goes to the runner, so at that point they would have to get, might have to play 2 cards, right? Okay, they're up 1. Then I play a 3, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that's where it ends. Cool, great, we're done. I win, the defender wins. So they automatically lose 1 for losing the battle, and then they're gonna have to retreat. However, in this case, they play 2 cards, both of those units would die, and then I played these 2 cards that also have 2 deaths, they would die. And so that would be, I would have 1 left. So that's kind of how combat works. It's pretty streamlined. You typically can see whether or not, I didn't say the hunt ends when it injured. I said it keeps going until you are either you take your 4th injury, or you cannot damage the monster. If you can't damage the monster, the hunt also ends. And so, or maybe I said it wrong, but that's the way that works. So there's a couple ways that the hunt ends. It is not because you take an injury. You have to take your 4th injury. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means all 3 of these are injured, and then you have nowhere else to apply. And then sometimes the monster attack cards also have something that gives you an injury or ends if you can't defend. So one of the other things here, so that's kind of how combat amongst players work. It's pretty streamlined. It's pretty straightforward. You can see typically how many, you don't know what people have, but you know more or less how many cards they have and whether or not you want to deal with somebody who has 4 or 5, 4 cards. There is a blessing that allows somebody to have 6 you definitely don't want to go to war with somebody who has 6 cards in their hand. So that's kind of gross. Also, it's fun strategy-wise, though. If you know somebody's hunting monsters, and that's the way they're trying to get their win, right? They've killed the Hydra. It's over here on their board. They're going after the Minotaur, and it's looking good. Maybe they, like, you know that they don't want to spend their combat cards fighting land battles. They need to save their combat cards for killing monsters. You can also, because they need 3, you can cut somebody off. Like if Hercules is down here and he's killed, where'd he go? Where's Herc at? Kevin, go to your home. Go to Crete. He just killed the Minotaur down here, but the only other 2 monsters are way up here on the north side of the board, and he doesn't have any sort of movement upgrade. It's going to take him a couple turns to scoot on up to the board. You might be able to come in here and kill the Cyclops. So now he's only got the Sphinx. Maybe you want to kill the Sphinx. Now another monster can come out through the event deck, like I explained earlier, but you know, that's not always going to be the case. So there is a way to kind of, you know, shut people off. Cool things to note. Obviously, I have the terrain expansion pack, which are these little pieces. These do not come with the normal base game. So if you do not have that box of goodies right there, you will not have those things, and you will not have those things. And you will not have Sparta. Look at Sparta in all its glory. And the Oracle of Delphi, which is pretty neat looking. All this stuff's really neat looking. Again, these are the sun drop, so if you just got the straight gray, that's what that looks like. You can also, within your regions for a movement, you can hoplite movement, get your soldier into the fortified area, and that gives them a +1 defense. So it's easier to kind of like leave stuff locked down. I think the reason that I'm really digging the game, honestly, is because the four ways to win, right, is very interesting, because you can't just ignore somebody who's killing monsters. You can't be single focused, right? And everybody can see the monuments building. Everybody can see, like, unless it's your first time playing, you don't really understand seeing somebody spread out. Like, everybody at the table now is really calling out people who are spreading their soldiers out everywhere and taking control, and like, oh, they only need this region in that island and they win. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. So the 4 win conditions really, really help. And then I think also because of this blessing, I think this blessing deck might be the key to why I think this game is so good. Obviously, I think the asymmetric powers for the heroes is very interesting and gives nice flavor. And I've only played 2 of the 4, and I can't wait to do that, right? But each time there's a draft, when someone builds, somebody built this one, and let's say somebody built this one. So boom, there's now a draft, which, by the way, these are a deck of temples, and there's a random setup every time. So you're going to get a different layout of when drafts are going to happen. So the person, if you're playing a 4-player game, they're going to draw 5 blessings. They're going to sort through and pick the one that they want, and then go, I think, goes counterclockwise. And then so everybody's going to get one of these blessings. And so throughout the game, you end up having like a total different setup with special abilities, which gives this crazy different asymmetrical feel to every time you play. So I might be playing Hercules, and I get the chance to draw, the population strength of all regions is decreased in your favor by 2. That's gross. So he can just, now if you got this, you can just go stomping around taking up lands a lot easier, because what that's referring to is to take control of an area, they have a population. 3, so 2. So if you move 2 hoplites into this area, then now you will gain control. Boom, now you've got it. So if you had this local support card, now everything's -2. So you can roll up in Sparta over here, that's normally a 5, with 3, and now you'll gain control. And Sparta has some special, when you do recruitment, you recruit for 4 in that space because it's just more powerful. So these cards, these blessings, are going to give you special abilities, and you just get a different draw every time. Whenever your opponent has more hoplites than you in a battle, kill 1 hoplite from his or her army before the battle begins. So you're going to roll in there, down a little bit. At the start of a battle, draw 1 combat card if you don't have any. Boom, always prepared. Rear guard. After using the special action March, you can recruit 2 hoplites in the region your army just moved from. That's stupid good. It got used against me in the last game, and I hated it. Ugh. So, and there's a big honking deck of these. So, and they're all good. And there's a couple, obviously, that you're like, man, if I see that one, I'm going to jump on it. Instead of using the hero movement action, permanently lower your strength by 1 to start a hunt. So if you're Hercules, you can just, then that whole like thing, scenario I talked about earlier, being way down here and the monster's up here, you can just be like, bam, I'm going to lower my strength by 1. I'm going to hunt from down here. Go. So I feel like this is one of the key elements that makes this game super interesting and keeps me wanting to come back. Like I said, I haven't played a game that takes 2 hours plus 3 times in 1 week, maybe ever. I don't know if I've ever done that. The events, the way that the quests and the monsters could come out and evolve is different every time. I am really excited to see the expanded 5th player, because there's going to be a new monument. It's already set up here. There's a new city workable, whatever, this situation. Oh, yeah, it helps if I put the camera on it. This thing going on over here, don't know what that's about. And then I'm pretty sure there's more monsters, and there's more quests, and there's more blessings. So whenever we get that content, I'm going to be excited, because this is a game I think I'm going to, right now, you know, typically these type of games, you dig out whatever the easiest and fastest way to win the game, right? You find that strategy that works. And I don't see that happening yet. I also haven't, like I said, I haven't seen, I want to just put this together because I love it. I haven't seen the monument builds get to 5 yet. So I want to see that happen. I can't do this one-handed. Y'all can just sit there and laugh at me. It's fine. There we go. Look at that thing. Look at that. I'm going to get down low. So, oh, look at that. Pan shot. What? It's just so fun to build. Oh, also, something to note. If each of the monuments have a special artifact, and this one cost me the game right here. This one got me wrecked when I played Hercules last game. If you control the area, which theirs are typically hard to control, you get the artifact from that monument. So Zeus lets you deal 1 wound to any monster on the map, or deal 1 injury to any hero. So guess what happened? Yeah, that's right. I was working against the Hydra, and I got it down to 1, and I didn't kill it. The combat cards that I drew after defending didn't let me kill it. I pushed my luck. I could have stopped when there was like 3. It wouldn't have got sniped. I knew the player had it, but I just felt like I'd already cycled through like 16 or 18 cards. And I was like, I have got to get the torch that I need. It's in there. I know it's in there. And I didn't draw it. And so then he was like, yeah, I'm going to tap my Thunder of Zeus and kaplow. And then so I was like totally wrecked. And I had to change my strategy on how to try to win. So, oh God, it's so good. And, you know, I've played it, so far I played it with my game group twice, and I played it with a few complete strangers at a gathering for a going away party for us. And it was interesting to see, because I played it at the going away party with all 3 of the other players don't typically play a lot of board games. I mean, they do play board games, but they're not like heavy, huge board gamers. And it was pretty neat to see they jumped right in. I will say that the first time you play, go on, get yourself comfortable with this OPUP right here, because you will be referencing the rulebook a lot. You're going to have a lot of tactical questions, a lot of, can I do this if this? And does this apply if this? And there's a couple spots in the rulebook that they leave kind of vague, which is, you know, always frustrating in a tactical game. But for the most part, it's pretty solid in the way that it explains most things. There's a couple of really good how to plays online. So you can, I would have everybody who plans on playing sit down and watch that, so you just have a general concept of how things are going to go. So yeah, anyway, that was mostly it. I just really wanted to give it, I really just excited about this game, and I mean, as many games as we have to play these days. Oh, by the way, there's also a campaign book to do single player, so you can do that if you're into that sort of thing. The art, the production, the gameplay. You know, I really, to be honest, I got this game because it had these monument minis. Look at this thing. I don't have a diaper for scale, but you know, I got it because they looked phenomenal, and I was like, man, I just hope there's a good game there. And I was really surprised not that I should be surprised, but it was a really good game. I think currently my only complaint is I wish the game board was a lot bigger. Because once you really get deep into the game, when you've got monsters and you're trying to like move all your heroes into a space, it gets really crowded and it's hard to see stuff. And you're like, how many's there? I can't tell. Is there still a quest there? It gets really busy. And I'm actually may not, even though I paid for these, I may not actually play with those because as you can see on the board, you can just put your hoplite straight into the square and that serves the same purpose. So it's one of those things where like these actually just take up a lot of valuable space and clutter up the board. They look really good right now, but once the board gets filled with the minis. I'll also say that the sun drop effect is cool, but it's disappointing on some miniatures because it wasn't done very evenly. So where's my Minotaur kind of has a two-faced thing going on here, right? Like this side got it, this side didn't get hit at all, so it's just black. So that's a really poor one that I don't think done a good job. And then also, I don't like the sun drop effect on the hoplites because you really need to be able to see these colors to be able to know kind of where your troops are at and where your counts are. And the white on them actually distracts and makes things harder to see. So the board's just a little busy for my taste. And for a tactical game that you really need to be able to see things. But you figure it out. It's really not that big a deal. And these are just nitpicks. I mean, I can obviously get some primer and fix that myself. But overall, I'm not going to. I don't paint stuff. I'm too lazy to paint them. I just don't do it. I tried once, and I just yelled at everything and cussed a lot. But as you can tell, it gives them a really, really neat effect. And I really think they did a fantastic job with this production value. It's just a great looking game. Love the theme. Love how the science fiction mixed with the Greek mythology. What a cool concept. So I just feel like this is a home run. This is definitely going to compete for. It's definitely going to be in my top 5. I can go ahead and spoiler alert that. It's for next week when we have our Monday morning rundown. Lords of Hellas will be in my top 5 of 2018 so far. For sure. So anyway, I think that's a good place to end it. There's a lot to explore here. I think there's a lot for your money. So if you've backed it, you're waiting, get excited. If you didn't back it and you like these type of games, I think this is a no-brainer. So, all right, kids, thanks for watching. See you next time. Be nice to somebody today, okay? Happy little trees.